This one is an odd one. This one is like you going to your supermarket and saying to the supermarket owner, "You are exploiting me. You are selling you are selling me food that is too expensive. So you are going to sell me my food cheaper." And the supermarket owner looks at you like, "Security." This is honestly the idea that came into my mind when I read this. So again, this is available in Politico. This is available in any news agency because everything the orange one speaks seems to end up in the news in one way or another. Even if over here in Europe, newspapers are toning it down. It's not a novelty anymore. People are fed up with him. People are just stopping buying U.S. goods and telling him to, oh, please, shut up, shut up. But the U.S. President Donald Trump, he vowed to force European countries to pay higher drug prices and squeeze the pharmaceutical companies to lower prices for US consumers by as much as 80%. And this is going to affect the Irish industry, for example. This one is in the Irish Times. I like to read them sometimes. They have interesting news. Yes. So, now he's talking about he's inventing, no. He's putting words where they don't belong. He said that he would punish countries that refuse to equalize their medicines price with the US or to extort drug companies into lowering their charges. We are going to tell those countries, like those represented by the European Union, that the game is up. Sorry. And if they want to get cut, cute, cute, that is madness. They don't have to sell cars into the United States anymore. So he's trying to blackmail the European pharmaceutical entities, producers, by threatening the German and French and Italian car industry. I wish I could say, I wish I could say this makes any sense, but no. I'm not even going to read anymore because this is too stupid. Look, uh, countries in Europe produce a lot of medicine. Okay, we also produce a lot of medical components and some products like insulin, for example. Okay, in Europe, it's not a question that medicine is cheaper. It's not even that, because medical products, even without being overcharged by medical companies or whatever, even without all of that, they are always expensive. Because if you don't know this, I know. Okay, I know. I have seen it. I have studied it before talking about it because I think that is the way you should make a video. If you are going to make a video, you go to the sources, you see whatever you want to talk about it, and then you think about it. Okay, and you give your opinion, and that is what means to research. Research means to watch multiple sources of information, secure sources of information, and then you see how things are processed. If you ever done a paper for, I don't know, for school, for in uni, you would know you have to, when you do a research job or research work, you have to make a list of where you obtain your informations. Okay, you have to list the conclusions, and then you can give your opinion. First the facts, then the opinion. So, facts. Europe produces a lot of medical products and medicine. And how does this process itself? Okay, I will give the example of Portugal. So we produce a lot of medicine and we buy what we need. Hmm? And then that medicine has a market price. And for example, my mom, a retiree, she pays much less for that medicine because the state pays for the rest. Okay, because that is one of the rights people have here. We pay taxes. She paid taxes when she was working, so now she's a retiree. So she is entitled for a level of not paying that much for medicine. So, for example, a medicine that would cost 10 euros or 20 euros, to her it will cost around €1 or nothing, depending on the situation. Okay. For example, for me, that I am actively working, it would cost around, if it's prescribed by a doctor, it would cost around 2-3 euros. Okay, and also this has to do with my level of income. So if you have a determined level of income, you will pay from zero to an affordable tax. Okay, but this is how we have medicine in Europe. Our state, from our taxes, pays in. And then what our state also does is to force companies to only have a predetermined level of profit. So what does this mean? This means that every year, I think it's every year, or whenever it's necessary, the government has a chart. And medicine A, B, C, D, all the medicines approved in Portugal, okay, they have this level of state, we call it comparticipação, okay, the part that the state pays, okay, and the medicine, the companies that are selling medicine, okay, and the pharmacies and all of that, they can only charge that level to the patients, to the person. And this is with the same with every type of medical procedures like operations and whatever. Even if there are most operations are not charged, because you are not barbarians. But there is a level you always have to pay something. Okay, not much, but you have to pay. But for example, I'll give this example. Last year I had a bad fall in January or something like that, in the beginning of the year, and I had to go to the emergency services, okay, because I did paid no attention to it, but then the pain was so great that I really needed to go to a doctor. So went to the proper channels and then went to the emergency services. I arrived. Okay, I waited for a while, not much, I don't know, 30 minutes or something like that, less than about half an hour. Okay, I was seen by a nurse. The nurse saw my state. Okay, we call it how do you call it, triage. Okay, she's well, you will then we have bracelets from green green to red, okay, green, orange. I think it's green, orange, yellow, or something like that, and red that is the most urgent. Okay, I sat down with my green, green thingy. Um, then about a quarter, less than a quarter of an hour later, I was, I went into the doctor's office. He saw me. He sent me to do some exams, an X-ray, and the other one I don't really recall the name in English, but it's the one that we put the gel in and then they go with the scanner and watch it all because it was all in my lower back in my right leg and thigh. They in my spine and whatever. They made all those exams. Then I read and blood works also. They draw blood, and then I went to the after that. This whole entire process was less than an hour. I went to the doctor. He told me what was wrong, you know, and then I had to stay in a treating room, being treated by nurses, okay, with an IV and all of that, medicine. Then when I finished that part of the treatment, I went again to talk with the doctor. He had already all of my exams. He gave it to me, a copy. You always leave with a copy of your exams. Right now, I think they send it to your email account, or if you don't have an email account, it stays in the platform, so you can pick them up, or you can ask for a physical copy of the document of the papers. Whatever those exams go into your what the English call NHS identification, and then wherever you are in Portugal, you can access that data. The doctor, suppose you are in, I don't know, in Lisbon, and then you have some kind of a problem in across the country in Porto. Okay, the doctor in Porto, he can access your data, all of those with your permission, all of your data, all of that. So it's a pretty oiled machine that right now is having some problems, but I'm sure they will work it out. Okay, this is something that will, I don't say, in a year times, in 1 year time, they'll probably have all the issues solved. But it still works. But what I was trying to say about medicine is that if you have a system like ours, where the state is controlling prices, the state is controlling the percentage a company charges you, things work. Okay? Sorry, the damn allergies. But if you have a system like in the US where everything in healthcare is privatized, you will have problems. You will have serious problems, my friend, because it will become a business. And even if here it is also a business in its way, it's a control business. It's like everything. It's like energy. It's like water. It's like all of that. Like transportation, public transportation, the state has control over all of that. It has a word, it has a control, it has a hand. And that is not socialism. That is the people you elect to govern the country to have actual control and accountability over the country. So, if a government is not doing its part, you can hold them accountable and you can kick them out because they are not there to rule us, they are there to govern us. And that is a completely different situation. The state is a needed part of a society. We need that structure, we need that control. And in the US, what do you have? $5,000 in some places for an ambulance ride. You usually won't pay nothing for an ambulance ride here if it's in an emergency case. And when you have to pay something, look, I don't know, but it's probably around from €7 to €20 or something like that. If it is in another situation where you need to call for an ambulance or whatever, and it's not an emergency situation or that, okay. And what you also have to understand is this: you are not denied treatment if you do not pay. No. If you need to have that procedure, if you need to have that treatment, you will get you will get treated because important fact, it's written in our constitution the right of healthcare. It's there, all of us. And you will say, oh, so those parasites that don't work and don't pay and whatever, they they are always able to get treatment and they go on and blah 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 blah. Yes, yes, it's a price you pay. And if my taxes go to help someone get treated, even if that person is a bastard, I don't care. It's a civic duty. It's a consequence of living in a democracy. It's a consequence of living in a system where freedom is more important than money. And people in the US that claim to be so democratic, so freedom loving, what do? You deny treatment to people. Do you know, for example, that you only pay for certain vaccines here? I got vaccinated 3 boosters of COVID. I didn't pay a cent. I had four free, what do you call them, tests every month. And when it began, really, you didn't pay for any of it. Okay, you have to understand this. Yeah, and vaccines. And how much is a vaccine? Look, I have to take my booster for a disease for chickenpox or something like that. I don't know. Measles. Now, right now, this year, I will have to take a booster for measles. You know how much that vaccine is going to cost me? I'll go into the pharmacy, hmm, and pay. I think I think it's €1 or €2 or something like that. I will buy the vaccine. I will go to the health center, say what I need. There is a nurse. There is an open treatment area. I go to the nurse. The nurse inoculates me with the vaccine, make sure that everything is all right, and off I go. When it's kids, it's the same thing. And the kids don't pay for the vaccines. They arrive, it's vaccine day. They even go to schools, to vaccinate, and they vaccinate people. Oh, and here, anti-vaxxers, I would not come here because here vaccines are mandatory. During COVID, if you did not vaccinate yourself, you could not work, you could not frequent public spaces, you could not do absolutely bloody anything. Because, just an example, to travel between two what you Americans would call counties, I live in one county and I work in another. To cross that border, let's call it like that, I had to have two things on me beyond the papers for my car and all of that. A declaration from my employer stating that I was a needed employee and that I needed to work. I needed to. I could not be in confinement. I had to work. I Most of the confinement I worked every day. Most of the days, I think I was only when I was sick. I got COVID. Okay, and if it was not for the vaccines, I would not be here talking with you. But in order to travel across borders, I had to have my declaration of my employer stating that I had to do that. Okay, and I had to have my vaccination certificate that you had in your phone. You didn't even need to have it on paper. Okay, because without those two little sayings, you know what? The cops that were watching over the roads, they were effectively watching over the roads. Do you know what they would tell me? Go home immediately. And I would have to go, or else I would be jailed. And you and Mr. Trump, with this shit, has this miraculous idea that he will tell Europe, no, you cannot sell it to us for 80. You cannot sell us this medicine for 100 euros. You are going to have to sell it to us for 10 euros. And he's saying, we will sell it to him. Oh, we won't let you build your cars here. Fuck off, we won't build them there. We will build them elsewhere. If the German car industry is suffering, then Germany and EU funds to sustain our decisions will subsidize them. Don't you understand? I don't. He is having the same behavior towards Europe as he was having towards China, and the consequences will be even worse. Because remember this, we buy a lot of shit from the US, and right now it's beginning to be boycotted. Do you have any idea what will happen? I won't say anything more about it, but I would ask you to see how much in percentage the the UK, and pardon me, and other countries in Europe, but mainly the EU, how much in percentages do we sell to the US of fundamental medicines like insulin, for example, medical medical machines, medical supplies, and now imagine all of that suddenly starts coming in and goes somewhere else because there are other countries that will buy it. The US is a big economy, but it is only 13% of the world's economy and dropping. I think right now it's around 11 or 10%. And Mr. Trump continues to insult people. He continues to insult the EU. He continues to fail to see what is the purpose of the EU. I don't think he even cares about it. He's just gaslighting everyone because he's a dumb idiot. Oh yes, and he's not my president. So, and around here we have a right to say that we don't like our president or our PM. Okay, and I don't know what else to say about this. It's so, it's so hard to talk about this. Extort drug companies by blocking their products unless they accept very low dollar amounts. This is in the Irish Times. Unlike in Europe, US government backed insurance programs cannot negotiate certain drug prices with pharmaceutical companies. Former President Joe Biden's Inflation Reduction Act allowed Medicare, the public insurance program for seniors, to do this for the first time for some medicines. Uh, the Biotechnology Innovation Organization, a US lobby group, said Trump's plan was akin to importing socialized medicine. Patients and families are not a bargaining chip in a trade war, but that's exactly how they are being treated. Share prices for US pharmaceutical companies rose with broader stock index gains. Sorry. Look, all I have to tell you is this: you are working, talking to you in the US. You are working, you are paying your taxes, and you should be entitled to have health care. And as for the price of medicines, as for the price of the procedures, your government should be controlling them. But he is not. The government is controlling absolutely nothing. Why? Well, ask yourself that question. Maybe they are profiting with it? You tell me. You live there. This has been a long one. Sorry for that. Thank you for listening with me. Sorry, bit tired. Sorry. Thank you for listening to me, for listening for my rant. I know I sometimes wander off, but I hope that at least you will speak with your local councillor or MP or whatever you call him, your representative, because you really need to begin to think about these things. Because you do not have free healthcare, you do not have good healthcare unless you have money in your pocket. And consider this when you come here to Europe, please. If someone says they need to call an ambulance to take you to the hospital, don't do what I have seen. I have talked about this, but I once saw a lady in the beach with heat stroke. I know it because me, the red man, I am also very prone to having them, and it's not nice. This is my cat. She's here in the front of the lights. Oh, glorious! Looks like a little angel, little devil. But if you come here, I saw this lady in the beach, and she had a heat stroke, clearly. And if you never had a heat stroke, let me tell you, it's not a pleasant experience. And the lifeguard, and even I that was around there with her, at the time I think I was even talking with the lifeguard that there was someone that I knew. And we were talking. They saw the lady was feeling really sick, because the sun here is not to play with. Because this, it's pretty hard sometimes. And they said, look, we need to call an ambulance. And she started, oh no, 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 we don't have money, we don't have money, and blah 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 and blah blah blah. Until the lifeguard simply said, no, over. This is over. And then the police also a police guy, the police that are constantly going up and down beaches, surveilling these situations. No, 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 you need an ambulance. And she went into the ambulance, still screaming, and off she went to the hospital. As a foreigner, a tourist, even if she didn't have, but she probably had a travel insurance. But if she doesn't have, she was taken to the hospital, and she was probably charged the average in these situations that is around, I don't know, 17 to 20 euros maximum, with any procedures that she might have been needed to do. I know that because, as I said, this has happened to me. No, I was with, I don't know how you call that, the the thing in your veins that they put in you to hydrate your body. I'm sorry, but the English word is escaping me. And I was there. It happened to me last time. It was around 3 years ago. And I went to the hospital in an ambulance, and I was there almost a day on an IV, getting rehydrated, getting medicated, and then I spent a week inside the house in the dark because I could not stand the sun. Okay? And I paid, I don't know, 15 euros. It was a bit cheaper back then. No. But if you come here, never deny yourself treatment. You have an absolute guarantee that no one will deny you treatment if you need it. If you feel sick, if you are feeling ill, ask in your hotel or wherever you stay and say, look, I'm feeling sick. Where is it? Can you call me an ambulance or something like that? Because no one will extort you for money for treating you. You might have to pay something, but it will always be like in the average pay. This is usually what they do. If a person is a tourist or something, they will charge you the average pay. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay. Well, again, sorry for the rant, and I hope to see you all next one. And have a great week, folks.